It's a pleasure to show my work as a contribution to the National Arts in Health Week. Yeah, I was describing how we use body tapping to benefit the body health wisely towards generating wellness. We can tap all the parts of our body. We can tap the arms, underneath the arm all the way to the armpit. We can tap above the arm all the way to the back of the hand. And we can do for the two hands. We can tap our limbs, we can tap our torso, we can tap as far as our hands can reach towards our back. So we have to keep a shoulder width in between our feet, and that was what I was describing here. And then we do what we call the horse stance, as though we are sitting on a horse, not the kind of sitting we experienced maybe as punishment while we were in school, where we had to sit on the floor and raise our legs. But here we sit. I think there are many physical education exercises that were imported into punishment stances while we were growing up. So we assume a position as though we are seated on a horse. We call it horse stance. And then while we turn, we make sure we turn from the waist. If we turn from the neck, it will cause a strain and develop into neck pain. We call something issues in tissues. Most of the pains that we have is stored in the neck, is stored in the back, upper back or lower back, stored in the waist or the hips, let's say the hip region. So if we turn properly from the waist, the better. And in this particular exercise that I was describing to the participants here, it's a face-based organization, as you would notice, is that when we assume the horse stance with the space between our feet, which is the shoulder width, similar to the shoulder width or equivalent to the shoulder width, we sit as though we are on a horse, and we make our hands move freely so that we tap the lower part, the lower side of our tummy, the abdomen, with the open palm of the first hand, and then with the back of the hand with a punch at the back of our back at the lower part. So we synchronize it in such a way that all this movement happen at the same time. We are seated, okay, then we are turning from the waist. That's number 2. We are tapping. The two tappings are happening at the same time. Number 3 and number 4, we are breathing. So we usually do between 8 to 9 turnings. So we tap as we turn, let our hands move freely. Our hands must be free in such a way that we assume that we place the egg under our armpits so that we are not tightened up. Because what we call the chi, the energy, the ethereal layer of our body creates some energetic movement, because we are made up of cells. Every cell has its own atoms. There are ions, there are electrons. So we carry electromagnetism, we carry bioelectricity. So there is a way that when we make this movement, that these circulations also move. There's something called piezoelectricity. It's a mechanical response that generates electricity, and it happens in our bodies as well. So with every little pressure that we mount on parts of the body, on the surface of the skin, with every outward movement that we do with our hands or our limbs, there can be a corresponding movement within us also, especially in the energy level. So this is an activity of what we call qigong. Qi, sometimes in China they say qi, which is chi or qi. In India they call it prana in Hindi. The Japanese call it ki. English is just like the breath. In Yoruba it is emi, aliento in Spanish, depending on which language. So it is where we use intention. We say every movement begins with intention. So we have an intention for the movement you want to make. And when we synchronize our breath with these slow body movements, organized movements, then we can generate or derive a lot of benefits. for ourselves, for wellness, to drive wound healing, to drive agility, to drive vigor, to drive vitality for ourselves. So now that is what we call the cranial part of our body, and then there is this pump there, so we can tap that part of the body also, and we can tap the lower back, I think the lumbar region, which is the lower spine. We can tap that, so we can change our hands, so we can stay there as we turn from side to side, tapping as maybe convenient periodically as we turn from side to side. Remember to turn from the waist. The waist is regarded as the steering. Every movement that comes from the waist is easy. The upper body follows more easily than when you are forcing the movement or the turning with the neck. When you allow your neck to lead your turning, it is more dangerous than when you allow the waist to lead the turning. And then there is this concept of emptiness and fullness that we use when we assume some posture as we stand, so that when we walk, for example, at one point or the other, one leg is empty, the other one is full. What do I mean by that? One that is full carries the majority of the weight, let's say 70%. The one that is empty carries, let's say, 30%. Okay, so if we want to walk, as we are walking and we are landing on the leading foot, and we assume, let's say, we sense that there is a sharp object on the floor, or maybe the land is soft or it's going to give way, quickly we can retrace our step, we can retract and not follow through with that step, with the landing step. So this helps us. This exercise also is good for proprioception. I think I got the pronunciation correctly. Having the idea of our geospatial environment, where we are keeping our legs without necessarily having to look there. When we are walking, we don't keep looking downwards, because we already know where we can place our legs. So we have a sense of direction. All these things are involved with balance, with the eardrum or the prayer in our ear. So these things are important. So following the video, we have to keep our spine straight as much as possible. This exercise improves our posture, helps us to overcome the fear of falling, especially in the aged, people that are already old. So, and then again, helps us to have a sense of balance in our knee, in the ankles also, because all the stress, the load are shared, or let's say at these points of the body. So now going to the bow stance. Like I was saying, this will explain to us very well the concept of fullness and emptiness. My front leg, which is the left leg, it is bent. That's my full leg. It's carrying the weight. It's called yang, positive. Whereas my right leg, which is at the back, is the yin, or empty leg. So the floor is flat. So if you take it as a bow, that'll be like the string of the bow. Meanwhile, the almost the curvature, let's assume that my legs are forming, will be like the curved part of the bow, and my upper body will be like the arrow. Okay, so it can shoot straight up. So we assume that maybe a string is holding our head up. We lift our chin we tilt it up a little. And when we are doing these exercises, we keep the tip of our tongue to the palate, okay, just touching slightly. So if I'm standing from here, if I'm doing it correctly, I will realize that I'm keeping that space between my feet, which is the shoulder width. All right, now if I assume this posture, my left hand to my waist and the other palm, the right palm facing forward, I do it as slowly as possible. As I'm raising that palm up, I'm breathing in. When it gets to half of my body, symmetrical to my ear, then I turn it to face the backward, and then facing down as it's dropping. We call this like turning back the wheel of time. So I breathe in all the way, turns. As the hand is falling, I'm breathing out. Remember, I said we turn at the waist. So it's up, breathing in. Now at that point, it turns backward, I breathe out. Okay, so this increases the oxygen content of the lungs is if we take long deep breath, and this our breath has to be supple, has to be smooth, has to be soft. So now I move to the next stage. It's like swimming. Okay, the front swimming, maybe like breaststroke, let's assume. So we combine many movements. Here we combine many movements. The first is the hand movement, which I'm showing right now. We just go, and then it turns underneath our armpit, our palm turns, and then it comes out. So while we are doing the swimming backward, we breathe in. While we are pushing, we breathe out. So we have to combine the leg movement now, so that the front leg is full, is carrying the weight, then the back leg now is carrying the weight. So I've shifted the majority of the weight from the front leg to the back. So moving back and forth, forth, then back, then forth, keeping my body oblique as I move backward, keeping the body straight as I'm moving forward. Okay, now let's swim back. The arms go backward. At the same time, I'm shifting the weight to the back leg, breathing in. Now I'm breathing out as I'm shifting the weight back to the front leg, and my hands are pushing. Okay, so with every push or every kick, we breathe out. Okay, when we are retracting, we breathe in. So breathe in, shift the weight to the back leg, swim back, and breathe out as we shift the weight to the front leg and push. Again we go, breathe in, swim back, shift your weight, breathe out. Then you can turn the arms, and around this time you bring it towards you. While we are doing this kind of exercises, I talked about intention. We can attach affirmations. Okay, we can attach confessions, like I breathe in goodness, I breathe out sadness, I breathe in joy, I breathe out depression, I embrace abundance, I refuse poverty or lack, I embrace clarity of purpose, I refuse confusion. Okay, I embrace wellness, I refuse sickness, things like that. Okay, it is slow body movement, it is meditation. So actually it's called meditation in motion. Otherwise, sometimes the Harvard Medical School called it medication in motion. So these are like warm-up exercises that we do. It's first under Qigong before we do the actual Tai Chi. So what I was showing here, these are Qigong. Okay, because we are not really moving from the spot. We are doing all of this on the spot. Okay, but it is more than this. But as time could permit me, and because of the level of training of acquaintance of the participants, they never had any exposure to this kind of exercise before, so I had to take it gently. On the every last Saturday of April, that is when we celebrate the World Tai Chi and Qigong Day, and it falls on the 30th of April. This Saturday, it's always a Saturday anyway, every last Saturday. So I do worldwide, like almost 80 countries of the world. We have participants that keep 1 hour aside, usually 10 a.m. local time, and then everybody practice together. We call it one world, one breath. Right. So whatever we do for on one side, we do on the other side, just like to maintain balance. And that's why I have switched here, and I've asked the participants to switch to the other part. Changing the legs, we try to maintain our height and maintain our posture. So we convert to the other side as we turn. As I swing back, I form an oblique movement with my torso, my upper body. As I go forward again, my chest and my belly will face straight where I'm facing. Okay, so back and forth, back and forth. We can do 4 times, we can do 8 times or 9 times, depending on what is convenient for you. So let's go. So swim back, transfer the weight to the back leg, then swim forward, transfer the weight to the forward leg. Remember, we are moving the legs, not the body. It is shifting of weight of on our legs that makes the upper body also to move. It's not that we are deliberately moving the upper body. So breathe in, combine the hand movement with the leg movement and the waist move turning. Breathe out, breathe in, Breathe out. Remember, go as slowly as possible. The idea is to pay attention to everything happening in slowness. When we drive fast through a city, we may not see a lot of things because of attention. Attention is the currency uh, that we pay, okay, in this case. So we pay attention. It's a currency. So we sit back and then we transfer the weight to the forward leg. Now we do the changing, okay? Try as much as possible